she's not fit to fight yet. But anyway, guys, hey, welcome back to Sarge Talk TV. I'm Big Mike.
Normal size Jason.
Hey, guys. Hey, it's an open mic tonight. I pinned the link at the top. Come up and chat with us. And let's see what the goings on is. We got 3 people in here. It is a Tuesday night. I've been looking at military news and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know why it's taking so long for the world to put Kim Jong-un in his place, because he's launching more rockets again. Rocket Man is launching rockets again, and he's supposed to have a state visit from South Korea.
Really?
He's saying, because we lived over there for 5 years, and we felt safer in South Korea than we do in the States sometimes with all this crap that's going on. But he's saying that South Korea flew drones over, so I launched rockets out into the ocean and watched them go boom. What an idiot. You can't feed your people, but you're making these billion-dollar rockets and just shooting them out into the ocean.
Right.
You know? So I'm thinking, well, the whole thing that went on with Iran with the nuclear program, what the hell? We know where everything is in North Korea. What are you waiting on? You don't need a crazy man with his finger on a red trigger. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that garbage up there. But
I mean, honestly, you turn the TV on or open your phone, right? The amount of chaos that's everywhere right now, it's crazy, and you want to try to keep up with it, right? Like I've got some friends that they're all about it, right? They're reading their research. Like I don't know how they get anything done because they literally are just. They know everything that's going on everywhere. And they're like, do you know about this? Do you know? And I said, look, I'm that guy, right? The one that I'm just sticking my head in the sand. I don't care.
I live in the woods.
Right? Like it's not in my backyard. I know that because I'm outside in my backyard and I'm watching what's going on over there. And I don't see any of this going on here.
Right.
And we luckily live. And I didn't really give it a lot of thought when we initially bought property here. We liked the remoteness. We loved the scenery, just everything about it. And then of course the benefits, right? We did look highly into the VA benefits and what we would benefit from that. Because I don't really pay attention to a lot of the politicking and the society, what's going on, like enough to kind of like, hey, I've heard that somewhere before, but don't ask me details about it.
Yeah.
But then realizing that this remoteness that we have here in a lot of this area, there's kind of a 3 to 4 state region that we're in here in the Midwest that we're not really going to get messed with. And those that come, they're not going to have a long life expectancy anyway.
When you live out in the country I think today was like the first time in a month or more that we turned on and watched morning news on the TV on Hulu, because we got the package where you can get all these different news channels from all these cities and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, I count my blessings I live out in the country, because all this stuff seems like it's a world away, because we have Tulsa here and we have Oklahoma City. Other than that, most towns in Oklahoma or, McAllister's like 18,000 people. We just got a Popeyes and everybody, woo! I went by their grand opening. You couldn't buy a parking spot in Popeyes. And the only person that's nervous is right across the highway on 69 is KFC. Other than that, there's no turmoil, right?
Right.
We have the Lowe's, We don't have a Home Depot, so there's nothing there. It's just crazy. But if you live in those two metropolitan areas, if you will, and I don't know. I'm from the Phoenix Valley, right? And we got millions upon millions of people in the Phoenix Valley. Phoenix Valley compared to Oklahoma City is like a freaking suburb of the Phoenix Valley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be Tempe size, Mesa side, all that, Glendale, whatever. So I look at it like, we don't really have, but we still have our crazies. Everybody's got some crazies. You go out in the country and we got some crazy folks out there. You got some crazy people that have what's supposed to be a tornado shelter and it's full of pew-pews, and firing stick, all kinds of stuff. I ain't gonna name any names, but you got that, but you don't have neighbors attacking neighbors, and you don't have people burning down, people's houses and destroying the city, but you still have your crazies. And wherever you live, you go, hey, like I seen Carrie's comment. That's why she moved out of where she did over by Oklahoma City in one of the suburbs over there. Because if that's your world and it's getting a little bit too crazy for you there, could you imagine living in Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle, LA? I mean, where you got some serious cuckoo birds, living in those locations.
Well, yeah, like I just went down Sunday, was there Sunday night and came back home on Monday, was back down in Hot Springs, so you're right out of, you hit the outskirts of Little Rock and head over to Hot Springs, and just driving around. And I was like, man, I couldn't do it. There's no way. There's just way too many people. And I was half-minded because been watching a little bit of what's going on in the media, and with everything going on, was like, okay, are we going to have some crazies here? Right? Because even in our little town that we have, like I seen on Facebook that they went and held a vigil, and I'm like, are you kidding? There was like 40 people there. And I'm like, okay, which that could be a lot for a turnout. Right. They're like, oh my gosh, record-breaking numbers. There was 40 people in this. And, but then I drive around these cities and I look at just how the roads are designed. And then the amount of people, like we went to dinner and pulled in the parking lot and was like, man, I wonder how long we're waiting. Now, luckily, it was just that it was a small parking lot. We got to a table, got served right away. Like, it was really nice, actually. But I didn't miss, out of everything that I miss of being in the Marine Corps, that base mentality, living on base, as convenient as it was, right? You lived on base. You were your own little city on that base, and it was super convenient. And it was way better to do it that way, especially at Lejeune. The traffic to get on and off, well, any military base really, but it seemed Lejeune was way worse than quite a few that I'd been to for backups and, but when you're looking at like 5,000 Marines or something on the base or personnel trying to get on at the same dang time. Right. So yeah, that chaos. And I'm like, I'm glad I experienced it. I know what it's like and I know what I don't want. And to be able to live out here in the sticks and go to town when we have to deal with people. And for us, it's a lot. But then when I look at the scale of it, like I said, going to Hot Springs, and I realized that what I think is a lot now is a little bit, like so small when you look at the major cities.
One of the things that you haven't heard a lot about is the military still helping out with this illegal alien roundup. I don't know what happened. The focus is strictly on ICE agents now. Uh,
Mm.
and I don't know what happened for them to, because remember when it first started, every time something first starts, like they started using National Guard reserves or whatever, uh, you thought Armageddon was happening.
Oh, right.
When really all that they were doing was showing a presence, hopefully, like in Washington, D.C., to deter the criminal element, if you will, from doing stupid things to people. So now, it's like everything is so the sky is falling type, you know, mentality every single time something different happens.
Yeah.
And people think, hey, I think it's a good idea to go and mess around with people who have guns and who have the law on their side and who have, threats have gone up 3,000%. I was watching the news this morning. Threats and attacks on ICE agents' family has gone up like 18,000%, and on and on and on. So I'm just thinking, I hope, a level-headed person, that if all this is going on, thinking it's a good idea to go out and then be shocked when someone lays their hand on a law enforcement, like I heard today. It's not the mayor of Minneapolis. It's not fair that one person does something and 50 ICE agents jump on their head. That's not fair. Well, what? What's not fair is you shouldn't be out there. Okay?
Yeah.
It's okay to protest. That's why we have the Constitution. You have the right to protest. But once your protest steps over the boundary and they feel uncomfortable, guys, I'm going to tell you something. Whether you believe in what they do or not, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah. Well, and I love seeing the meltdowns of them, right? Where they're like, I can't believe they attacked me, or why did, it take 15? What do you mean you can't believe it? But then you have to backtrack a little bit, right? They've been allowed for so long to do this stuff. How long ago was it, right? They were doing all these, burning down Seattle, and all these things. And they've been allowed to do it because they're trying to condition everybody into where everybody else's feelings matter more than yours, right?
Yeah.
And my feelings, no matter what my position is and what your position is, my individual feelings are way more important than yours. It doesn't matter whether I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. My personal feelings are way more important. And that allows me this entitlement of I can just do whatever I want because there hasn't been any repercussions.
Right.
What have they done to any of the punishment when they pushed this whole thing of the, defund the police and, all the craziness that has been happening for decades, right? This isn't an overnight thing. The media is pushing it more because, well, they're going to get more views about it, right? Like fear mongering in the masses is the way that the government is able to control everybody else, right? They keep you scared. They don't have to physically do anything, but they're going to keep you scared and they're going to keep feeding that information knowing that nobody's going to look it up. Nobody's going to actually do any research, or they're not going to provide enough information for you to research. And they've been able to get away with this stuff for so long, right? And all I can think about is if you use that analogy of the schoolyard bully, right? Because of their size and because of their name and their statue and everything, they've been able to bully kids on the playground and get their lunch money for, 3 years until that one kid says, you know what? I ain't doing it. And then all of a sudden, guess what? That bully goes away.
Yeah.
They're not seen, they're not heard of, they're not bullying nobody anymore because it just took that one person to say, all right, hey, we're done with this. But all this DEI and all the other crap, this woke crap that's come out that they're pushing down our kids in the school systems.
Right.
They're taught to believe that. They're taught to believe that they're entitled to everything. Everything is a right. They don't have to earn it. No, I was born. You're supposed to give me a paycheck for not going to work.
Right.
No. Look at how many people lost their mind when Trump come out and said, hey, guess what? This work for home's done.
Yeah.
You got to go into the office.
Right.
Lost their minds, losing it because they're like, what do you mean I have to go into the office? What do you mean you have to go earn your money? You can't just sit in your PJs and eat Cheetos all day and let the government just keep sending you a check for doing nothing?
Right.
Unacceptable. No. So yeah, I love seeing a lot of some of these policies and the stuff that's going on. It sucks for anybody to lose their life for any reason, right? Yeah. You never want to see anybody die. And because in their mind, and I guess that's the derangement that you have to wrap your own head around, is in their mind, they think they're right. They think they're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
And in truth, and everyone else, right? They're all telling you could be what you want to be when you grow up. No, you can't. You can be what you not everybody can go be president, right? Not everybody can go be CEO.
Yep.
So to raise your kids and to tell people, well, you can, yes, the option is there, right? I had the option, right? I could go play in the NFL. The reality is I wasn't going to play in the NFL. I don't have the skills. I don't have the abilities. I don't have that talent, right? I can't do that.
Yep. Not all kids are going to be, not all your daughters are princesses. All right.
No.
Not all your sons are special. The reality hits the people, and I think it hits kids once they get out of high school and they enter this freaking jungle we call life, and they go, holy crap, people lied to me. I'm not special. You know what I mean? I'm not special. I'm not going to be rich.
Yeah, they got rid of it, right? You remember, like, youth sports. They don't keep score anymore. Everybody gets a trophy. Like,
yeah,
I remember playing baseball at a very young age, and the winning team got to go get ice cream afterwards.
Yeah.
The losers just went home, and that's how it worked, right? You kept score. You knew who won. I tried to go to
the only people that knows what the score is are the kids on the field.
Yeah. And most of them don't now, I laugh because my brother's getting really involved because his kids are young and he's getting very involved with coaching and stuff now. Right. And he's out there and he's like, man, how do you get these kids to not chase the butterflies in the outfield? I was like, you don't but you have to distract them somehow, and I was like, but you have to give them an incentive. Yeah. You have to give them something like, hey, is there, hey, if you win this game, I'll buy you pizza, or we'll go get ice cream, or you know what I mean? Like, hey, I brought popsicles, and if you guys win, you get the popsicles. If not, hey, I'm taking them home and try again next week. Not, hey, everybody gets ice cream now, and everybody's a winner, and who won? Well, we don't keep score. It's just about them to, like, what?
And I say it's our fault.
Mm-hmm.
I say it's our fault as parents. We've created, like people always say, hey, you create the monster you're raising.
Yeah.
If you're dating a dude and you say, oh, he's treating me, you're letting him treat you wrong. Get rid of his butt or get rid of her. Okay. Because it's your life. You have to do what's best for you and not sit there and complain. So many people sit there and I get it. You know, dads leaving homes, leaving moms to raise kids. You know, people say, man, your mom's freaking crazy. There's a reason why she's crazy. Okay. You little curtain climbers. Okay. And the stress of being a dual parent is hard. I did it for 9+ years. It's a hard thing to do. And I was raising 2 boys that I thought were independent, but yet, you know, they got in trouble more than I had in my entire life. So I'm just sitting there. It is our fault. Okay. It is our fault that we got away from the basics of parenting and we've let society dictate and raise our children for us. Because what did we do? We started teaching in the school how to turn your parents in if they're doing things to you. And they took it another step forward. My mom yelled at me. She's mentally abusive. I'll call the cops on her. Okay. I'm just like, what? You know, and I'm going to tell you something. If I would have called the cops on my mom or my grandmother or whatever, because my grandmother was the person who disciplined us. My mom didn't. I'm going to tell you something. My grandmother would probably stand there and say, yes, officer. Yes, it will not happen again. And as soon as that door shut, I wouldn't have fingers to dial on a phone. She would have took me out and taught me a lesson seriously. Okay. Now, I don't agree with it. I don't believe in the corporal punishment where you actually hurt a child, but it happened when I was a kid. Kids were hurt, and I don't agree with that. And I told myself if I'm a parent, I would never, ever do what happened to me to my children. I would never leave my family, okay, like my dad did to my mom with 7 kids. And my mom was crazy. But there was a reason why she was crazy. Okay. That's a lot to put on a person. And I will just tell you that I'm afraid of the people that are out there on the streets right now, what this next generation's going to turn into. That scares the crap out of me. Now, I may not be long for this life. I'm already 65 on the 23rd of January. Oh, by the way, my mailing address is in the about page. I'm just saying, going on a cruise would have been a nice 65th birthday thing, but I'm not going on a cruise. Terry said, guess what? You're not special. You ain't going on no damn cruise. Okay. I'm still learning life lessons nowadays. I am not in charge of any damn thing that goes on around here. I'm the person that says, hon, is it okay? And she says, let me think about it. Okay. Such an ass.
Well, I love that. But
she just said, I'm a grown ass man. I can do what I want. I'm not biting.
Yeah,
I'm not going to fall into that trap.
Don't do it. It's a trick.
It's a trap.
Yeah. No, and yes, going back to that, you know, and I've talked about this before. I don't know so much on here, but I know definitely like on the main channel and with our Unhinged, where we really kind of deep dive into some of the things was, yes, we are the reason society is, right? Like our generation, the generation before, you know, because you look at it, right? And you realize, all right, these are all the hardships I had as a child and I had as growing up. So what did you want to do? Your main focus in life when you had your first child was to make their life so much better than yours was.
Yeah.
And by doing so, we spoiled the shit out of them. And we took all those things that we didn't realize then, right? We didn't know until now, right? Our kids are adults, and then we realized, oh crap, all those lessons that I was given that I hated as a child have actually made me into the person that I am today, right? I had to do those failures. And I think that that's where society as a whole and our generation is the one responsible for it. And if that hurts your feelings, good, it should. Because we're the reason, right? I take ownership in it. Like, I know my kids don't know a lot of the things that they should know because I failed, as a parent to them, trying to give them a much more comfortable life. And it spoiled them rotten. And there's things, that they don't know about. And I'm like, holy crap, how have you failed in that? And by doing that, that's where that entitlement comes from. We all ask that question, well, why do they feel so entitled? Because you've done everything for them.
Yeah.
Like, you need to make them. Like, what made you the person you are, right? Did you fail at something? Well, yeah. And I was working at 15, and did you make your kid? Well, no, I wanted her to focus on school. Well, then there's your problem. Did you buy them their first car? Well, yeah, because I remember I had to work at 14, and I'm like, okay, well, that's why they're trashing every car you buy them.
Yeah.
Like, they have no pride in ownership, and they don't have to own up. And the biggest thing, I think, honestly, that got removed from most children's growing up and raisings is the word no. They don't hear no. And when you tell them it now, they melt down. Because they've never heard it. And not only have they never heard it, and I see this in a lot of grown adults, like around, like even in my peer group, when they've never been told no, and they've never been given that opportunity to fail at something, they are not good people. Yeah. They either do really great at what they're doing, but if something changes, they don't know how to handle it. They have meltdowns, they have panic attacks, they anxiety, they're going through depression, a leading cause of well, we don't want to say it on here because we know YouTube's doesn't like the word, but it's a major cause because they're not told no. And I think that is something that, bringing it kind of back, right? This being a veteran channel, is I think that is a major difference between veterans and non-veterans.
Yeah.
Is you don't get that choice, right? That is a consistent in there. You're gonna fail. They're gonna find a way to make you fail at something. And you're gonna hear the word no, and you're gonna do things that are uncomfortable. And I think that there's a lot of things, but for me, I think that's one of the biggest separators between 45-year-old civilian, 45-year-old veteran.
Yeah.
Is if they never served, if they've never had to be put in an opportunity where they could fail and they could learn how to use that failure as a success. Failure to them is the end of the world. They're done. Oh, we're giving it up. We're going to the homeless shelter. It's just crazy.
Well, let's turn this around. Okay, life on a military installation versus life in the community. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. When you live on a military installation and they say no child under the age of 18 can be anywhere outside, okay, after whatever, some bases it's 10 o'clock, some bases is 9 o'clock. Or, if you're outside, you have to be escorted by your guardian, your parents. Okay. They freaking mean it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because the MPs will snatch your kid up. Okay. And then you think you're going to go down there and play, that's my child. Why'd you put your hands on my child? Blah, blah, blah. Because the first people they call after you is your chain of command. The people who can ruin your entire life is called next. Okay? And oh Lord, don't let them call a battalion commander or a brigade commander or whatever, because your unit is out in the field and the only one, they keep going up. The colonel, let's call him. He's not out in the field. We call him and he comes in. Okay. Because here's what happens. When your child becomes a nuisance to society and you don't correct it in the military, these are military brats, okay, as everybody knows them by. They ship their asses out. You only have a couple of options, because if you're the military guy, you're not leaving with them. Okay. They tell them, especially if you're overseas, they remove them from country.
Oh, really?
You have to go, you better have somebody back in the world to take, or you send your spouse back with them. If you don't have anybody
Well, I think that brings up a good point too, is there's a lot of people that they don't realize it right away, right? You get a young military member come in, they get married, they have a kid, or even if they don't, once you are married, or even have a child, right? I guess you don't have to be married to have a child and then have custody of it. You're 100% responsible. You, as the active duty service member, are responsible for every single one of their actions. So if your kid even goes to school and they start acting a fool, guess what? They're calling you, and you're going to get held accountable, and it could affect your career. They go and they catch your kid or your wife or whatever, your significant other. They're stealing from the commissary, or the exchange, or if they're doing anything that's illegal, that service member, their sponsor, is 100% can be accountable and charged for those same things, because you're responsible. That, like, you're their sponsor, they're your dependent. They depend on you to be on that military installation, and if they're not acting right, like you said, hit curfew, MPs are picking you up, and they will just start. They got speed dials on all the commands, right? And it just, that one didn't answer, I'm going to the next one. Like, they will call all the way up till they get a human on the line. It's not I left a voicemail. We're not leaving voicemails. Hey, we don't talk to the Taliban on the telemarketing. Yeah. We find a human voice. We keep calling till we get a person. And then we're like, oh, where do you fall in line with this person? All right, you come get them. And
what everybody needs to understand. The military is not a democracy whatsoever. It works for a democracy. Okay, they're not a democracy. Your kid goes to Dodge School, Department of Defense, schools, and your kid gets expelled.
That was a long Sunday.
It's not on the kid. All of a sudden they say, hey, your kid, we just removed him. Guess who I'm going to see? My battalion commander.
Yep.
And he's going to tell me, why do I have my head so far up my 6 point of contact that I can't see what the hell's going on? And he will tell me, you will fix this, or I will ship that little rugrat out of here. All right? Because what the military does, people, out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't exist no more. You get hurt doing something on deployment or whatever. It's easier on the command than to make compensations for you there to medically chapter your butt out and let the VA take care of you. Okay? Now, there are people who stay on active duty even though they have the disability. Now, they'll be removed out temporarily for recovery purposes and all that stuff. As soon as the doctor comes back and says, hey, there is no chance in hell Big Mike is going to grow another arm after he lost the other arm. Guess what?
Yeah, that was
there's two options. Oh, I don't know if they still do them, but they did during after Desert Storm. Is there a job in the military that I can do with one arm? Okay. Now, what if you lost an eye? Are there jobs that you can do with one eye? Is there jobs you can do and you got no legs? Yeah, sure there is. There's secretarial jobs, there's financial jobs, there's jobs you can do, and you have the option there for a while to choose one of those. You could have been a combat engineer or infantry or whatever, and you can't do that with no legs, okay? They haven't come out with a RoboCop body that they can slide you into yet. Maybe it's coming. I don't know.
They probably have it. They just won't tell us.
But you can work in, the personnel office.
Yeah.
You can process orders because you still got, the phalanges and everything, and you can do stuff like that and be productive and stay on active duty. I don't know if they still let them do that or not, but they did.
As far as I know, the answer to that is no. Just in my experience when I was in, there were several guys that had that. We actually had one of our senior tank crewmen that went on a deployment and he ended up losing an eye. And it was one of those that which you lost depth perception. So, hey, he can't be, a tank commander anymore. He can't do those types of things. But he could do everything else. He was out PTing. He was doing, he rehabbed enough that he was able to do, babe.
Hey, you tell her we're doing man stuff over here.
I know. We were trying to, they're over there trying to play cards and acting like we're not over here on a live or something.
Are you on a live? I didn't know.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay, kissy, kissy.
But yeah, so he had lost the eye, but he came physically, other than missing an eye, right? 100%, right back to where he was before, the whole incident happened. And, like you said, hey, that's a perfect guy. Send him to the schoolhouse. He's going to be non-deployable, or put him in an admin, leave him at the head shed, and know that, hey, he's a non-deployable, because every unit has guys that are remain behinds, right? RBE. Even if the whole battalion and unit are deploying, there's guys that can't. There's medical, there's all this stuff.
Yeah.
No, straight discharge. They are not, and maybe they'll make some changes, but I honestly, looking at the trajectory of what they're looking at for the military now, especially more for the Marine Corps, what I watch is that they're going back to that high speed, low drag. And a lot of it, and I think I've seen it mostly, honestly, I've seen more of it with the Army first, and the Marine Corps adapted a lot of it, was those positions like what you're talking about are actually going to be civilian contract jobs. They're not even allowing active duty because they're like, hey, we need more boots on the ground. We need more bodies to be able to deploy. So this admin job that, we can train anybody to do it. Let's give a civilian that can, hey, they can go up in the GS ranks and they can, work there, but we're going to have more continuity. So the position's going to be better, hopefully. And if not, then, hey, we'll find another one. We'll keep going. Angie, she's harassing me, Angie. I gotta, sometimes we got to put them in line, right? We're responsible for our dependents.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it would be cool if they would do something like that.
Yeah.
Allow those service members. The closest I think I seen was at Lejeune. They did the Wounded Warrior Battalion, and so it was guys that they were recovering. And they actually made an entire Wounded Warrior Battalion.
Right.
To where those guys could go out and they would do they did a lot of media stuff. They really did. But then they were out and they were in, like, I seen them working at the commissaries and the exchanges. They were giving them stuff because they had to meet the medical requirements to be healed enough to be separated. So they got a little bit of an extended active duty time, but it was sad because there was a lot of guys that they could have at least let them finish their career or let them run, like this one gunny I was talking about, that he could have easily served 20, 30 years and just put him at the schoolhouse, making him permanent party at the schoolhouse and teach the young Marines that are coming in. But
what an eye opener that would be if you took all the wounded once they fully recovered and you employed them back into the schoolhouse, how quiet those classrooms would be. They're quiet no matter what. But now you could hear, a rat taking a pee. It would be quiet because they would be going. And of course, everybody's got, the instructors would have to say, hey, my name is, Staff Sergeant or Sergeant First Class or Master Sergeant or Captain or whatever their rank was. And before we get started, I lost this in Afghanistan. Okay. And here's how I lost it. All of a sudden, these young recruits, pucker factor would go, oh my God, this is real.
And they just go like this.
And they're focused.
They are laser focused. Like to me, that is the prime, right? I would rather have that guy that lost an eye, lost an arm, lost, both legs even. If he's coming up on the podium in a wheelchair, or 2 prosthetics, and he's the guy giving you this, the safety classes. Hey, this is why you got to learn safety, or this is why these are I'm going to listen to that guy that has been there already, and is gone, and now he's back, and he's back and motivated enough that he wants to teach me. Oh, you dang right. Like, I don't care how many shiny things and squirrels and boxes of crayons they put around the room. I wouldn't tell you about nothing. But I guarantee you I'll remember every single word that man said. And get that focus going. I think that they would be a major asset. And I think that not only does it help the individual branches, but also the morale of those individuals that are going through it.
Yeah.
Especially when they didn't plan to get hurt. They didn't go in that day and say, hey, guess what? I want both my legs blown off today. That's my goal, while I'm eating chow in the morning.
Yeah.
And by this afternoon, I don't want legs.
But see, here's the big side of this whole thing. Is if you have soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen that this stuff had happened to, and they're in the schoolhouse and they're being productive, they've got a mission rather than flip them over to the VA, okay? Because the military, they still can get all the medical they need and all that stuff on active duty. Instead of saying, okay, we're flipping you over, you're going to get 100%, and you're going to go home and sit on your ass. And this gives them purpose to employ these guys. And I don't understand why they won't go back to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you're going to learn more from somebody who had boots on the ground.
Oh, okay.
Not everybody lost their legs because of mistakes. Combat action, okay, and things like that. Incoming, whatever the case was, all right, IED blowing up, you lose your eye, part of your job, whatever. As long as you can talk and you can get the teaching points across, you've done 2 things. You've made it real training for the recruits, and you have given that veteran, instead of putting him on a couch, collecting a paycheck, and going to his doctor's appointments, you've given him purpose, or her purpose. I'm sorry, ladies. Her purpose.
I know it's a movie.
And plus,
right? Go ahead, Philip. And welcome up, Philip. We're glad to see you. Glad you clicked on it and came up with us.
Hey, wait a minute.
Young kids learn
Wait a minute, Philip. When the hell are you going to get a haircut? Because you are not like the others.
Second Tuesday of next week. This is for Jason. I'm going to make him a wig.
Oh no. You'll be wasting your
Now,
time, buddy. I'm
Now,
telling
like
you,
what you're
just cut it
talking
off
about, us
now.
old
You're in
guys
no
was
way
in there
for
a
it.
long time. Us old guy was in there a long time. When I went to Desert Storm, I was 37. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a
Yeah.
youngster. I was over 11 years in. And I think, too, as if you retire or stuff and you go to school and teach these kids in school, they're going to learn, I think, a lot better from a guy that's been there and done it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they can
No, I
tell them
would tell you most civilian
of what to do and
civilian
how to
instructors-
react. You know what I'm
Most
saying?
civilian instructors are prior military. Okay.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah. But I'm just talking about giving our wounded warriors purpose. Okay. And keeping them on active duty to fill the schoolhouse so they don't have to hire contractors to come in and do it. That's my point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, and I think more to the point with that, right? And that's I know that, you know, well, all three of us up here, and I know for sure Big Mike and I are on the same page with that. I would rather take a whole battalion of wounded warriors and put them in instructor positions and billets and have them teaching and keeping that purpose. You know, the reference I wanted to give, right, because a lot of people know it, and it's kind of that relatable if you didn't serve. And I know it's a movie and it was all written in fake, but there's a lot of reality in that, right? Is look at Forrest Gump and look at Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Lost both his legs. He's in the hospital. He's depressed. Forrest finds him in this, you know, ratty motel, and he's just drinking and he's doing all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, Forrest comes in and was like, "Hey, I want you to be, you know, shrimp boat. Come work on the shrimp boat." And next thing you know, like he gets out there, he gets a purpose. He has a mission now, right? They're the only boat that survived a storm, and now they're, you know, turned it into a major corporate. I mean, yeah, some of it's exaggerated, but it isn't really. You know,
You
the
know, I think-
reality, that is the extreme that these wounded warriors and veterans
I
that
think
are
that,
going out there and
I think that Bubba Gump Shrimp has a real story to that, I believe. I think there's really a person that was down there in Gulfport, Mississippi, or down there, and was out there with that storm when it came in and made a killing on all the shrimp. While everybody else is,
yeah.
you know, their stuff is up on the daggum bank.
Yeah.
And he's the only one out there.
Because you look at it all over, right? We see it every single day when we're pulling up, you know, on any social media platform, and you're seeing all these success stories of veterans, you know, where they're starting an organization, they're starting, you know, a company, a business. You know, they're out there constantly because they've got to keep that purpose. That is by far, out of everything that I've experienced and every veteran that I've talked to, that's the biggest and the hardest thing of transitioning out of the military was you lose your purpose. You lose what that focus is.
Mm-hmm.
And
That is true.
you can find something to give you another purpose, you're fine. But in that in between, that's a super rough time. That was a long.
Plus, the people that you stood next to each other together in certain instincts, like Desert Storm, you know, there's a camaraderie there that you miss when you get out. You know, that's why I like going to my reunion down in Long Beach, Mississippi. It's going to be 35 years this year.
Yeah.
And they made a coin, which is cool.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it is a good example. However, I have to give it to Lieutenant Dan. He was using his VA money for good and not evil. He was keeping those girls employed.
He was.
You could call him a contractor, but
I mean, I'm still mad at him to this day. He wasted a perfectly good ice cream cone. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care how depressed you are. You don't waste ice cream. Like,
No,
you
you
got to
don't.
have a limit. Like,
You
come on.
But you know what's crazy? That actor tours with his band
Mm-hmm.
all around the USO shows
I've seen him
everywhere.
multiple times. Yeah, Lieutenant Dan Band.
Yep.
Pretty wild.
Seen him
He's
a lot of
got a
times.
foundation.
Gary Sinise.
Terrible.
He also has a veteran nonprofit where when I was an MWR director, we used that. I wasn't an MWR director then. I was a community recreation officer for MWR for the Army as a civilian,
Recreation.
and they had a program where his foundation would provide lunches for soldiers on base, and we would do it, and you would get you could do it twice a month, and it was $3,500, and we would take that money, we would pay for it first.
Look it back for you.
Okay. Send him all the receipts up to $3,500. They would reimburse us back. And it was a thing to say thank you to the active duty, okay, to the veterans and first responders. And they would pay for it. His foundation, the Gary Sinise Foundation, would pay for all that. And we could do it twice a month. And it was giving the soldiers a break, because a lot of them are moving from place to place, and lunch is a forethought, and they would come down there because they're in the motor pool. We would find out, hey, this unit is doing layouts and they're doing all that stuff. We would set it up for like the field artillery, the MRLS, whoever. We would set up, and they would come there and grab a bag while they're doing this. Because a lot of people don't understand, when you're a civilian, you work for the government.
Right.
Do not mess with their lunch break.
Oh, hell no.
The union will have your ass. Okay? But a soldier, a Marine, they're on duty 24/7. All right? I don't care. Here's a freaking MRE, and you're in garrison. All right? I met your nutritional requirements. Okay? Yeah. And it's that simple. Okay.
What was the biggest phrase? Hey, chow is continuous. You gave them an MRE, they're good. Hey, you eat what you can, but you better, you have a wrench in one hand, and you can eat whatever you're doing in the other. But we're not stopping. We got a deadline to meet.
I had a commander that when we would go to it was motor pool day for whatever company it was, when you went in the morning to the chow hall, you'd eat chow. When you left, they knew which companies were, and you'd grab an MRE, put it in your backpack, your cargo pocket, whatever you were going to do. And if you go, well, I didn't get one. Hey, you're shit out of luck. You were told to get one.
Mm-hmm.
You were given opportunity to get one. You're shit out of luck. And that's the bottom line. You know?
Well, I found out too, there's another organization that I learned real quick when I was younger in the military, was the USO. You can find all kinds of information through them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. USO, they're pretty good. I mean, there's been places where I'd go to USO so while I was in the airport, and I'd find, they'd have food there. So I'd eat food there and didn't have to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, and that helps a lot, especially when they're traveling in the military.
Hey, how much was breakfast when you were in the military? In the
breakfast?
Chow? Yeah.
Shoot, $1 or something.
Yeah. When I first went in, it was $1.25 for breakfast.
But I didn't pay for anything when my first.
You didn't have a meal card.
I didn't pay nothing. Yeah, but I didn't pay nothing my first.
Lunch and dinner was $2.25 when I came in. Okay. Well, I can't say when I came in. When I got married and they put me on separate rations, I had to pay
Yeah,
for
you had comrades.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I want to say
See, I didn't have that stuff when I was in Midway Island. We had
Yeah.
a galley. You went to the galley and you got fed. You didn't pay nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
right.
That's totally different. That's for
Yeah,
the
if you're
poor.
married, you got to pay.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you had spouses on Midway.
No, well, they did a long time ago.
Yeah,
Way
that
long
was
time ago.
that was
Yeah.
that
Back
was
in the-
before you
But no,
were-
when you're back in Garrison, right? If you're married and you want to go to the chow hall, I want to say when I was in, it was like like $6 or something. Like
Was it?
it had jumped up, But I mean, still, you weren't gonna go. You could go, spend $6.25 and go through the line as many times as you want to hit the salad bar, whatever. You weren't going anywhere else on base and eating for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did it quite a bit. After I got married for lunch, I would go over there. Breakfast, I was never a big breakfast guy.
Yeah.
Really until I got with Tara. And she started making me breakfast every morning. I'm like, I don't eat breakfast. I wait till later in the day. And then she's like, I'm making breakfast and you're gonna eat it. And I'm like,
You're eating whether you like it or not.
yeah.
That's right.
Yes, Captain.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I remember going over there to be able to get that because I spent very little time while I was in the Marine Corps actually single. So it was like,
Dude,
when I had the meal
every time
card, yeah, you go down there 3 meals a day.
Every time
Now I will tell you, as a first sergeant and of an HHC headquarters company, they own the chow hall. Okay, that's the service and support part of a battalion or of a brigade or whatever. And I will tell you that we would get all our food from a thing called the TISA. And it was a big warehouse where all the mess halls went down there, filled their orders, and they would bring it back. Now, I will tell you that there was a running account, and they could tell you how much food you took out of the TISA, and then you would match it up at the end of the year with all the money that you brought in from food service and stuff like that. Now, it doesn't matter that military cook recipes are few. Okay. It's not like, hey, I'm going to make, U2 scrambled eggs and U2 scrambled eggs. When they make scrambled eggs, they make it for a frickin' platoon. Okay. Or if they make gravy, they make it for a frickin' platoon or more. And they do it off what their normal head count is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at it. I remember this, and because I had an auditor come down, and he said, "Hey, you took out over the year $110,000 worth of chow out of the TISA, but you only brought in $60,000." Said, "Hey, what happened to the rest of it?" I said, "Oh, by the way, did you see where the farmer came down and he paid us? We have a contract for all the slop, because slop goes in one trash can. It gets put in a big dumpster. These farmers would come and pay us under contract to pick that up, go feed pigs, whatever the hell they did with it. I don't really care." Okay. And they would go, "Oh, all right. So that's $10,000 for the year. So you made 70,000. I said, "Yeah, okay." So that is a $50,000 loss. And the guy goes, "All right, you guys are okay."
Well, I mean, I never had to be part of the budgeting part of it, but I know there was a while. I was with a certain command that you went down, and when you went to the chow, if you were married, right, they would ask like, you would have to pay, or hey, what's your meal card number? They got to the point they didn't even ask for your meal card, right? And you just walk in, and they were sitting in there, and because there was always at ours, there was always a little civilian lady sitting at the front. They'd have, sometimes if it was multiple entrances, there was one at every entrance, and they're signing you into the chow hall to know, how many Marines and sailors are eating at this chow hall. And they had dispersed this code, and they're like, hey, this is the number that you're going to put on there. And for you married Marines, if you want to run down to the chow hall, like, you don't actually have to pay. You give them the number, they'll write the number down. And because it's in that sequence, and they knew already, right? There was a sequence of numbers that was like, hey, those are meal card numbers, or these are, and yeah, it was one that we went for months, would go down there and go get chow, and hey, you just give them that number, and there would probably be 20, 30 guys using that same number, but they didn't cross-reference books. So you're like, hey, whatever, it worked. Hey, we got in there, we got lunch for the day. We were good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true. I mean, because in the Army, I know for a fact that you had headquarters company, and then you had Alpha Company, Bravo Company, Charlie Company in most engineer battalions, and sometimes a Delta Company, right? And so you've had all those. So they'd come in, they'd say Alpha 2523 or Bravo Company 0032, or that's their meal card number, because it's 4-digit numbers plus your thing, because most companies in the combat engineers are about 100 to 120 people. Okay. Battalions are usually around 500 to 600 people, somewhere in the Army. And then you have 4 battalions for 1 brigade. And then you have 3 brigades for 1 division. And the division is around 10,000 to whatever, somewhere in that ballpark range when I was in. And I heard that we're getting rid of another division out of the Army, and they're boosting all the heavy divisions up. They're not going down in personnel numbers. They're just getting rid of another division and boosting everybody up so they don't have to extend themselves.
Right.
So it is very easy to cheat. We caught several soldiers that were on separate rations going in there and just making up a freaking number. All right. And when all of a sudden they go, oh yeah, 3217. Dude, there's only 125 people in Alpha Company. I know for a fact that there's not 300. And he goes, oh, damn, that was my last unit. And I mean, people always, here's the thing. When I ran an outdoor rec at Fort Carson and people were shocked, and I said, hey, they said, why do you want to put security cameras inside your store? I said, because these soldiers are stealing from me. And they go, oh, no, they wouldn't do that. I said, wait a minute. A lot of these people just never got caught on the outside. That's how they passed the background check.
Right.
Okay? And we put them in there. We didn't tell nobody. And sure enough, I had one employee sit there behind the desk, and they would switch off, and they go, oh, whoa, that guy just put, like whatever inside of his cargo pocket. And you'd have a picture of him, hit the button, got the photo, back it up until you see him putting it in there. Just call the MPs, and the guy gets arrested and stuff like that. So it is not uncommon for soldiers to make bad decisions. Okay? They don't have to just make bad decisions out at the bars. Okay? Yeah. They're just people like everybody else. You would think their discipline would stop them, but soldiers get broke just like everybody else. Okay? They're living beyond their means, and they do stupid things. I mean, we had soldiers at Leonard Wood that got caught shoplifting at the Walmart, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So it happens. But the moral to the story is they're always going to call your chain of command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always, no matter what you're doing, it's gonna hit the blotter, right?
Yep.
That's what they call it, the morning blotter, right? Everything that happens, they send it out. Every unit, every battalion, it's on there. Anything that happened, whether it was on base or off base, and the command is gonna know. Like you could try to hide it, you can try to get away with it, and it might work once, twice, 3 times, but you're gonna get caught with it eventually. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too, because it was one of those I used to make the comment a lot was I didn't really know what a full criminal or a crook or a thief was, growing up in my small little farm town. Didn't nobody really dare to do a lot of theft and stuff.
Yeah.
But man, I joined the Marine Corps and I'm like, this is the biggest band of thieves I've ever seen. Like and
you
if
ain't
it's
gonna see me.
if it's bolted down, it just means that it's going to be a little bit slower for them to take it because they got to find the tools to unbolt it. Like it was one of those that I'm like, I've never had to lock a vehicle until I parked on base, and I'm like, what do you mean? I'm on a military installation. Like that's one of the biggest things they teach you in the Marine Corps in boot camp is honor, courage, and commitment. And they're like, yeah, well, they throw that out the damn window. There ain't, when you get into war, then all of that is prevalent. Like, but other than that, yeah, it's.
You guys had to get a liquor card? Ration?
Yeah. If you're overseas, you had to have a class 6 because of black marketing.
In Sicily.
Huh?
Not in Sicily.
Yeah. Well, in the Army, in order to avoid the taxes on all this kind of stuff, a lot of times it's the country that imposes that because, like in Germany, they have a thing called the Mehrwertsteuer, and liquor is the highest tax there is. And so they make an agreement under the SOFA agreement, Status of Forces agreement, and they have a thing called a ration card. And like you can, and I'm just putting this out there. It's like you can get 4 gallons of bourbon or tequila or vodka per month, and then you can get so much, whatever. And it was only for the hard liquors, not the beer. But then wine was a big thing in Germany because the Germans sold wine and they wanted their products sold and bought and not from the class 6.
Gotcha.
And then you had your cigarettes. I'm going to tell you something. A lot of military people paid their rent overseas with smokes, because if you think cigarettes are expensive here, go overseas. All right. Because when I was a young man, and I'm just going to say that I may have or may not have paid my rent because I wasn't a smoker. Okay. And nefarious means. Okay. I'll put it that way.
You bought cigarettes and sold them to your partners, didn't you?
Yeah. Because a carton of cigarettes back when I was in Germany in 1980, a carton of cigarettes was $2.10.
$3 Midway Island, 1980.
Yeah. And I'm just going to, well, that's because of the shipping.
Yeah. Me and my roommate.
That's why they have ration cards in certain countries.
Well, see, we had to buy gas for American cars and stuff over there. And
you get ration cards for that too.
We got ration cards, but you had to buy so many liters.
Yeah.
Back those days.
They did that in Germany and Korea and all that.
Well,
not in Korea when I was there last time.
Of course, I had this big old boat over there. It was a Cordoba.
Yeah.
This thing was huge.
Yeah.
Them little cars would get out of my way. They see that big old thing coming, they'd get the heck out of the way.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I don't know if I can be prosecuted for 1980, so I'm good.
Right. Well, that's what I figured out. You can let some of the stories out when you've been retired long enough. We can. Wow, too bad no beer ration card. I'm
going to tell you something. If you were in Germany, the best beer was off base, and it was cheap anyway in Germany.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was because I had some over there in Wiesbaden.
Yeah.
I closed the bar. With the two most beautiful women I've ever seen. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And they spoke English so well.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. All those working girls could speak English.
I just sat there. We had no. These were beautiful bartenders
Okay.
behind the bar. We was
Yeah.
we was in what they call a walk plats over there in Wiesbaden,
Yeah.
and it's cobblestone street, and it's got stores all around it.
Yeah.
And it had like a little food court back in there, and it had a bar on the left side. So as me and my buddy went there, he had his daughter with him. So we're sitting at the bar. His daughter's next to me. They don't care. We're sitting there drinking beer till we closed the place up. And
Yeah. In Germany,
I
you can
learned a
drink.
lot about their
You can
beer
drink
over
at
there from them.
16. You could drink at 16 when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Well,
guys, hey, that's what we got for you tonight, guys. I wish some of y'all would come up more often than you don't. But I think I don't even know what the subject's going to be next week, but I'll figure that out before now in the weekend, and I'll get it posted early so people can see that. I do know that there's been a big scandal. There is, I can't remember their names. There's two big podcasters. One has 3 million followers, and the other one has 2.9 million followers. And they have been talking some shite about how taxpayers are getting ripped off by the whole VA system thing. And there's quite a few veteran channels out there that are freaking in an uproar and making videos to make sure people boycott their channels and stuff like that. I got to read more about it, and I don't know what we're going to talk about, but they are huge channels that have decided to go to the dark side and not support the veterans. So anyway, guys, that's what we have for you tonight. Remember, be kind to one another, help somebody in need, and always think of that. Brother?
Just appreciate
not you, brother, that brother.
This one. Hold on. We're going to give you your time, Philip. Hold on 1 second. No, just appreciate everybody coming on every week like you do in here, supporting it. We want to see some more new names. So keep sharing it out, get people out there. We love these open mics because we want to be able to bring people up. That's how, Philip come up with us tonight. I know we've had Sister Denise come up. Open mic, guys, we don't have a subject. You see, we were all over the place tonight, which isn't anything new for us anyways. But we want to hear. We will, there's stuff that we know that we're not hearing about, we're not reading about, we're not seeing it on our feeds that a lot of you are. And plus, it's always good to put a face to a name if we haven't been able to meet you in person. So don't be afraid. Totally judgment free right here. There's no standard. There's no requirement. As long as you got some sort of device that you can come up, we'll work with you. We'll get you on here. We want to hear your story.
Yeah.
So, that's what I got. Appreciate every single one of you. Philip, what do you got?
Brother, what do you got?
I just want to thank you guys for clicking on and letting me come in.
Yep.
It's been a good day. I mean, I ain't done nothing today.
Yeah. Again, when are you going to get the haircut?
Today, but got to babysit tomorrow.
When are you getting the haircut?
Second Tuesday of next week.
Okay. You're gonna trim up this.
I
remember when Jason's was all out of control.
I think I'm gonna cut it.
Yeah.
But,
cut it off?
Yeah.
I wouldn't cut it off. I'd just get it a little manscaped,
Yeah, I got to do some scaping on it. Well, see, I have a problem. A nervous.
Really?
I got a nervous tick. See this right here, the spot right here? I rub it. I don't know why. I hit my hand all the time to stop myself. And it gets raw right there. And no hair. So that's why I'm going to kind of shave it down.
Yeah, Joe Dirt couldn't grow hair in certain spots too. Remember him?
Yeah, right. I remember Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt.
Yeah, Joe Dirt.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We want to thank you guys. Remember, we love you. God bless you. We'll see you on the next one.
Love
Bye.
you guys.
Bye now.
Hey, when we coming over?